Okay, folks, good morning. All right, let's take a look at the P-40 here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the interior green that's on the wheel wells underneath here. Let's go ahead and do that before we get any further along. And I went online and I found that this color is an approximation. And approximations work okay for me because we're going to give this thing a wash anyways. So let's go ahead, let's go to the other side over here. And we're going to get some of this olive green. We won't need a ton, but we do need to get some out here. And this is one of those colors that looks like it's old. It's probably a color I've never used much of at all. It reminds me of a almost like that of the Goblin Green from Games Workshop. Maybe a little bit lighter than that. And well, that was fucking stupid of me. Drop this good brush and let the bristles get bent. Oh well, shit happens. I try to be careful, but sometimes I get distracted. Welcome to the land of mistakes. Let's get a little bit of black there so we can mix that in if need be. And a little bit of water. Did we end up charging this all night? We did, okay. Yeah, this is gonna need to be fixed before I can use this thing. Yeah, I'm certainly not gonna waste any time doing that right this second. But it wasn't last night, so it must have been something that I did yesterday morning. That's a pretty rare event. Something like this one. And then we'll go back to doing the black lining on this thing. Underside of planes, yeah, that's kind of important. Underside of tanks, not really. You're not going to flip a tank over. Many of them don't have any details. And if they're on a stand, well, why even bother? gonna let that dry a little bit before I go and mess with that. Let's set that brush right over there. And let's go back to the black lining. We'll come back in about 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, this paint is definitely, this wash is definitely thicker. Definitely want to put this on a surface where it's not moving on me. I actually had a chance to watch a video while I was having breakfast. Not for very long, but something had come up and it wasn't the right time to watch it. So I remembered what it was. And then I think I remembered. That's one of those things, I'll get a suggestion. I'm like, okay, well, we can't watch a video right now. There's a couple of videos that several people have made about Chain of Command 2. I watched a little bit of the one that was the interview with one of the authors, and one that was a play-by-play where they were playing their first battle, and none of them captivated me. And then I went to this other video that was showing it being played, just to see what the differences are. And I've seen quite a few. Not that I'm in the market to play it, but just out of curiosity. So I've watched, I don't know, at least a half dozen playthroughs of the original game, and I've played the original game myself. I figured, okay, well, why did they decide to make another set of rules other than, getting people to rebuy shit again? And one guy's doing this playthrough of the rules, and he mentions that one of the things, I literally skipped forward and the part where he's talking. It talks about, says one of the things that they changed in the rules is all tripod mounted machine guns automatically deployed in entrenchment. And I just stopped. I heard that and I just stopped watching. I'm like, there's nothing here for me. There's nothing of value whatsoever for the game experience that I want, where you just automatically get an entrenchment in something. It's just abstracted to the point where I just not going to play something like that. And if other people like that, that's cool. That just, what, you don't need rules for entrenching if it's already automatically entrenched. It's like, oh, they're all, they're all automatically entrenched and they're already wearing shoes. Well, I didn't want a phase where you had to put your shoes on, but that's just not specific enough for me. It's just not the kind of narrative that I'm going to be interested in. Like, imagine every single time, you have a heavy machine gun, it's going to be an entrenchment. Every single time? And I thought that was pretty cool. And it is, but it's just not, that's not the level of stuff I want to simulate. Although it does seem like the level of the game got a little smaller. I feel like the forces got a little bit smaller. Not that they were too big to begin with, but that's just not for me. I played their game. I can't remember either once or twice at a convention. I know once for sure with Mitch. And there's things about it that I liked. And there was a whole lot that needed to be expanded. It was a little too like, you shoot at the squad and somebody dies. Who is it? Oh, just pick a guy. What do you mean just pick a guy? It doesn't work that way. You don't even randomly figure out who it is. No, it's not important. What do you mean it's not important? All the riflemen are the same. What do you mean they're all the same? They're in different poses and stuff like that. I'm not spending 3 or 4 hours painting guys, giving them names, and then they're all the same. Fuck that. That's not for me. But I figured, that would be something that would be relatively easy to add to the game. You play the game standard and you come up with some kind of randomization on who gets hit, right? That's out of your control as a player. It's out of your control. Be relatively easy to add to it. But no, I'm pretty happy with the rule system I have just in the first edition. I haven't really messed with the second edition at all. I'm not convinced that I'm going to like it better. That's fine. I still have the first edition. And I'm willing to change any single thing that I don't agree with to my liking. So, that's that. But again, the rules, playing the game is not the big driving force between me doing this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing aircraft at all. It's not like I'm going to play an air combat game. Hey, simmer down. We're just doing this to do something different. And where is everybody this morning? It was like yesterday. We had a really good thing going, and everybody all of a sudden just went to sleep. It was like, okay, everybody go to sleep. Don't say anything. Okay, that about covers this wing, at least the top side of this wing. Underside should be mostly, if not completely, done. Let's switch over and do the other wing. Although it's mostly done as well. And one thing I'm going to do this morning, I'm going to actually take it to the next level on something. Might be the tail or something like that, but I want to see what my dry brush on top of this is going to look like. So even though I'm not done with all my black lining before I got to go to the salt mines, and they were really salty yesterday, I hope they're not as salty today. But being a Friday, I'm not putting my money on that. Fridays are usually terrible days for me. Everybody's like, TGIF. Yeah, well, when today's over with. But I'd like to at least see what this tail looks like, because there will not be an evening session today. And the dry brushing will be very light. It's not going to be like putting a lot of paint down. If you put a lot of paint down, then you undo all this. What's up, Zubair? Good morning. And I've heard not so many good things about this particular model company. But I really can't, other than the instructions seem like are a photocopy of a photocopy, and they're blurry in places. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. That, that turned out nice. I'm probably going to wait to do the interior on here until I do the bottom. That actually might be the best thing to do next, is to actually do the bottom. Because it's pretty much all black. It's still missing some spots, but I like to jump around a bit because otherwise I get bored. And also, you're not like, in the same position. Let's mix this up a little bit. That brush is actually behaving really well. Let's get a dry brush out here. What was that? Oh, is that okay? Let's get a dry brush out here that hasn't been violated. Say something like this one right here. And let's get the same neutral gray. And let's see what we can make of this. This will work. Let's just see how this is getting on. I said we're going to go really light. What I like to do is I like to dry brush and put very little paint down. And start off there. And we're going to dry brush in the direction of the air travel. And I didn't read to do this anywhere. I'm just using the same kind of logic that I'm using in painting my tanks that I am with the planes. They're both weathered in the same way. It's called the 1940s. And this is the first plane I've done this way. I've done the ME-109 that way, but the ME-109 is not in flyable condition. That looks pretty good. Now, I think I'm going to bring it up a little bit more. there's one thing I'm not liking about it. There we go. Let's just put it to this. It's too bouncy. That's looking pretty good. There's no point spending the time in wiping down this with mineral spirits. That just take forever. You know, if like you're using like the Tamiya system or something like that. I've got it up there. That's looking really freaking good. You guys want to see a close shot on that? Now we're not done yet, but I just wanted to do this to make sure if, my logic was in the right place. See if I can get let's kill that. Got a little bit of shine on it. I cleaned that up nicely. It's actually not very messy at all. And this is the same color that was already here before. Let's put a wing on the ground so we can have some stability here. So you got like a little bit of over, it goes over when I'm painting over the gaps, a little bit went on the edge. That's the first thing that gets covered, is that with this paint. And I don't know that I picked this up off of anybody. There's other things that I've picked up off of other people. I don't think I did this. Get almost all of it off. Now, the underside of these planes is not a very, very light gray. It's actually kind of ugly in that respect. I didn't pick the colors. That's at least starting to look reasonable. And it also allows me to look at places that maybe I want to add a little bit more black and then go over with it again. Okay? We at least got that palatable. Now, I'm going to do the wings here and the tail on the top. Okay? We're going to rinse this thing out. This dry brush is actually really good, even though it's super cheapo brush. You can get all this paint off, but eventually it's going to take a toll on what kind of damage you do. Now, with that said, it's going to last longer on a plane that has smoother parts on it than, say, a tank that has all kinds of raised bits and things like that. Okay, so this was the neutral gray, which is the original color that was on here. Okay, I said the black lining part takes a while. The dry brushing is actually really quick. All right, so we're going to put that here. Dark tone over here. Yeah, that's the interior one. Strong. Let's get some of these colors out of here before we end up having a problem. It's US dark green that's the detail part, but what we actually used is that olive drab. Let's get rid of these other colors out of here, because we got like the colors for the Spitfire and so forth. Well, that's chocolate brown. There's no chocolate brown in the Spitfire. Spitfire is going to be either English uniform or the other one, Dark Earth. I forget one of those two. All right, so now we're going to grab the US olive drab, which is what this was originally painted. Other than there's some scalloped parts here, but I want to give myself a little treat, and that little treat I want to give myself is I want to give myself a little bit of eye candy and see how we're doing, which is why I did the bottom of this. And it's looking pretty good. It's looking how I want it to look, and we're still going to have weathering on top of that. This is kind of the fading of the color. Like, they sprayed it in this color, it went out, it did its thing, it's faded some. That's what we're trying to represent here. Let's get away from that gray. Now, this actually is going to make give the plane an uglier color, because I'm not a fan of this olive drab color. So I didn't pick the paint scheme. Beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. And we haven't highlighted it, because what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of dark sand to this color, and then we're going to do the same thing over it. That's just the wear and tear part. But you got to go really, really light, or you end up undoing everything you did. Hold the wing on the ground for stability there. You know, and then you can look at it and go, okay, I want to put another black line on it, and then go over it. I mean, this dries so damn quick. The dry brushing part definitely dries so quick. Let's do the vertical wing. And technically, this is my first plane, so I'm gonna put that on. This is my first plane. Oh, why does it look that way? Because it's not the first thing I've ever painted, dumbass. You know. I mean, I've never painted Napoleonic figures. I could paint some Napoleonic figures. People are like, man, those are great. How come those are your first Napoleonic? Well, it's not the first thing I painted. It's all about, one of the huge things is contrast. You got to give things contrast so you can see them in a distance. That looks really good. And we haven't even. What's really going to make it good is the next step when we add a little bit of dark sand to it. I don't know if I'm going to add dark sand to the underside. I may end up adding a different color to it. So we should start seeing a big difference tomorrow morning. I really want to put the decals. That's, you know. But this is actually something that I figured out how to do from airbrushing. I was airbrushing some German camouflage schemes, and it just didn't, like, I was on a roll and then something would happen. Like, this is a couple of years ago. How do I fix that? How do I soften that up? I'm going, let me dry brush the base color on top of it. And sure enough, it made it look perfect. And that's when I was, even with hand painting stuff, you can hand paint camouflage and then go over it with this dry brush of the same base color. And it'll fade it just like airbrush. And you got to use very little paint. You can't just, I did it and I covered it all over. You got to go really light on it. You got to go really light on the airbrush, on the dry brush. But I think dry brushing is something that it gets discounted by a lot of people, and it's a powerful tool. It's a very effective, powerful tool. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna take that little bit of dark sand. And I'm gonna do part of the wing here. so we can do a compare and contrast. I don't do this scientifically. I don't mix another color. I just grab a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And that's too much of the dark sand. It's too much for the next step. Something like this. Let me go ahead and do a little tail part over here. Unfortunately, I'm blocking my own light here. There we go. Oh yeah, baby. And it's funny because when I was doing ancients and stuff, I didn't dry brush at all. I mean, unless you're talking about, doing some of it over like chainmail or something like that. Yeah, it's looking really good. They're definitely on the right track. Yeah, so now I could be like, okay, that was fun. We know we're on the right track. Let's rinse this thing out. Shit, it's almost time for the damn salt mines. And there's still more to do. What's over here? Of course, the nose cone needs to be brightened, etc. But that's as far as we're going to get today. So Until next time, we'll see you guys